current producers of Illini Sports Night. Our program strives for the most up-to-date information about our Illini sports teams. Although most of our stories are timeless, our show is not live. We record numerous segments and intros and then edit the final show before sharing it all with you.
The most recent updates on coronavirus has caused this show to have information that is not up to date and not current. On Wednesday night, this information we had was correct and accurate for the time being. Today, most of that information has changed.
On Thursday, we learned that the Big Ten has canceled all remaining games for the Big Ten tournament. Because of this announcement, some topics we discussed in this episode about Illinois basketball are no longer accurate. As of this recording, the NCAA tournament has also been officially canceled.
COVID-19 has not just affected the basketball team. Yesterday, the university told us that all of our classes, including this one, will be going to an online version only. We are not allowed to record anything in the studio as a group. This will also put limitations on the stories that we can go out and do. And a weekly show is proving to be difficult, if not impossible.
As best as we can, we are trying to come up with ways and solutions to continue our show for the remaining weeks of this semester, knowing that it is impossible to complete our show in its current form, however. Throughout the rest of the semester, we will be continuing our Illini sports coverage on our website.
All of us, as well as our instructor, Ken Erdy, feel the need to run our show in full. It takes a lot of time and work to put this together for you, and we feel our classmates and our guests and sources have the right to have their stories told.
We thank you for watching, and we hope to be back to our normal show operations very soon.
Enjoy the show.
Time for another edition of Illini Sports Night. I'm Tristan Kizik.
And I'm Patch Gazon.
And tonight we'll give you the latest on men's basketball, and later Blake Landa talks with an Illinois tennis player.
But first, some highlights. On senior night this past Sunday, Illinois men's basketball team took down the Iowa Hawkeyes 78-76. It was a great game. Obviously, it was senior night, which is a big deal for, Kipper, Feliz, and of course, Brad Underwood's son, Tyler.
And don't forget about Samson.
Oh, I can't forget about Samson. He's awesome. His pregame dunks are amazing.
And he's a good-looking fellow. That's a perfect smile.
Yeah, there you go.
And on Monday, Kofi Coburn was selected to the All-Big Ten third team and also named Big Ten Freshman of the Year, the first time an Illini has taken home that award since 2010. And Ayo Dosunmu was selected to the All-Big Ten first team by the media, not the coaches, I should add. The media knows what's right.
Yeah. We know what's best. That's what it comes down to. And because this was the last game at the State Farm Center for the season, emotions were high, and there was one player in particular that Coach Brad Underwood will.
Senior Day. It's a chance to honor the student athletes and managers who have dedicated their college years to the Fighting Illini. For Brad Underwood, this year meant a little more than in the past, thanks to the recognition of his only son, Tyler. Even before Brad became head coach at the University of Illinois, Tyler was close by. The 23-year-old has enjoyed a first-row seat watching his father move from JUCO head coach in Daytona Beach to someone on the cusp of 5 NCAA tournament appearances in 7 seasons. As Brad experiences the final days coaching his son, he speaks only of Tyler with great praise. The challenges overcome, the experiences shared, and the accomplishments achieved are not unnoticed.
I'm so proud of him, and yet, I knew I provided some challenges, but man, he's handled it like a champion.
Tyler's journey is one less travel. Following his father destination to destination, the guard has played home games in 5 different states over 9 years. Though what makes Tyler special is not what he does on the court. Brad often mentions how a program is built like a house. Well, Tyler literally manned the Underwood home while growing up. His father was often gone for road games and recruiting trips, which made Tyler next man up as family protector. In this way, his defensive tenacity is indicative of how the graduate student approaches life. Whether in the classroom, where Tyler has a bachelor's degree and is pursuing a master's, or in the locker room, where he shares advice constantly with underclassmen, he continues to charge forward.
I think it's part of the journey. I've learned, whatever life throws at you, you just kind of have to try to make the best of it. And luckily enough, I was able to do that here.
Don't let anyone fool you, though. Tyler can score with the best of them. Just ask fellow senior Kipper Nichols.
Tyler get a lot of buckets every day on these guys. He's a very smart basketball player, very cerebral. And he's able to shed some wisdom on everybody, just about everybody in here.
The Fighting Illini's remaining games are numbered. As often the case, many seniors are asked about whether they would have done anything different in college. Tyler does not even have to think about his answer.
I honestly wouldn't change it for anything. I think it's helped me grow as a person, helped me grow as a player. I've learned so many things along the way. I've kind of looked at the whole thing as a journey.
Brad says he never wanted his son to play basketball because of his playing and coaching career. Still, a ball and rim brought the two together for bus rides, long flights, and March Madness appearances. And that is something the 56-year-old will always treasure.
I say it every day, you're truly blessed when you can go to the court and see your son every day and dap him up and say hello and kid around and have fun and enjoy the moments in locker rooms and enjoy the tears in locker rooms. And
Tyler is unsure what the future will hold. His passion for basketball may pull him into the coaching realm. But at this point, his only priority is enjoying a long tournament run with his brothers, his basketball brothers. From State Farm Center, I'm Peyton Lesner, Illini Sports Night.
And it seems like tournament talk is the flowing subject around here because the Illini Men's Hockey Club had an unusual CSCHL playoff weekend. The Illini hosted the annual playoff at the Big Pond Saturday and Sunday. The Illini got off to what some would call a little late start. They were scheduled to play at 7:30 but did not reach the ice till midnight. And despite the late start, the Illini took advantage for the home series and beat the Ohio Bobcats 2-0. But Sunday was a different story. An exhausted Illini team that didn't finish Saturday's game till 3:30 in the morning had to be ready to play Linwood at 1 p.m. The next day in the CSCHL Championship, the Illini, lacking energy, dropped the game 5-0. Now, I was at that game, the 3:30 game. I stayed there, didn't get to bed till like 4 o'clock, and I don't think the players did either. That's just a tough game to try and play Linwood, one of the best conference teams, at home after being up till 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock probably for some of those players. Come back on the ice and skate again. It just wasn't a good mix for them.
Yeah, props to you. That's way past my bedtime. I think the latest I've been at an arena or stadium is like 11 o'clock, midnight. I don't think I can last till 3:30 though.
Yeah.
And remember that proposed mascot we mentioned on the show a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, the Kingfisher passed the student referendum by over 600 votes. It was announced on Monday night. Now, this doesn't mean anything official, and Chancellor Jones actually came out and said on Tuesday that there are no plans to move forward with a mascot at this time, but these talks are getting a little bit more serious each year. Alma Otter last year went to the referendum, didn't pass, but the Kingfishers passed now, and honestly, I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
If it was done professionally, like Nike or something,
Yeah, it might have for sure been.
I wouldn't have minded it, but
I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think that just with the success Illini sports have done, look, we went to a bowl game. We're probably going to a tournament. We just don't need one. Illini baseball, some of the lower revenue sports are doing amazing as well. We have a lot of school spirit right now. I just don't think it's the right time. I agree with Chancellor Jones. While I may have some strong feelings about the mascot, I know some guys who have some stronger feelings about everything Illinois sports. Check out this edition of Nathan DeHaan's Shot Clock.
Well, mascot or not, Illinois sports is still happening here on campus, and we are here to talk about them. Welcome to Illini Sports Night's Shot Clock. I'm your host, Nathan DeHaan. Joining me today is Gavin Good from the Peoria Journal-Star and Anthony Pasquale from the Champaign Room. Thank you guys for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
No problem at all. A reminder of the rules of Shot Clock. Each of our contestants will have 30 seconds to answer the topics presented before them today, and they will get one rebuttal throughout the entire segment. They can use that whenever they so choose. And today we are talking Illinois basketball because, well, it's the hottest story on campus right now. All the students and faculty are tuning in to see the Illini and how they can do this postseason, just finishing up their Big Ten regular season and securing the 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Gavin, I'm going to start with you. They did secure that 4 seed by beating a tough Iowa Hawkeyes team on Sunday. And man, those games have been a lot of fun this year. What do you think makes the Iowa-Illinois rivalry so much fun, so intense this year?
This really is a budding rivalry because you've got two competitive teams here, Illinois and Iowa, that are both kind of on the rise. Iowa's been good for a while, but Illinois is good now, and they've got these personalities like Ayo Dosunmu, who won't stop playing when the game's over. And Fran McCaffrey for Iowa and Brad Underwood for Illinois, two fiery coaches that aren't afraid to speak their minds. You saw the tussle between Connor McCaffrey, Fran's son, and DeMonte Williams getting into it. So there's just a lot of heat right now between these two teams.
Yep. What do you think, Anthony?
Yeah, for me, I think that all the ingredients for a rivalry has always been there. These teams are both close in proximity, but I think the biggest key that is making them rivals right now is the fact that both of them are good and competitive and young at the right time. Two new coaches in the middle of building a nice, steady platform there at the teams, and a lot of fire between both of them is going to make for an exciting next couple of years.
No doubt at all. Gavin, I'm going to give you the point on this one. I completely agree. Just the way that those coaches go at it, and I think that really inspires the fan bases to get behind them and really sparks that hatred. So Illinois coming off one of their best regular seasons that they've had in a long time and looking like they're going to be headed to the NCAA tournament, almost without a doubt. With this great Illinois season, Anthony, what do you think was Illinois' signature win?
To me, Nathan, I think you look no further than last Sunday against Iowa. I think this was the most complete team that this game played all season long, and I think Ayo Dosunmu's game with 17 points, 8 assists, 7 boards. He was all over the place. Maybe his best game at State Farm Center, and if it's his last one, that's one heck of a way to end it. I think it showed how good Kofi Coburn can be even against a guy like Luka Garza, and I think it just showed the type of run that this team is capable of when March comes around.
No doubt, Anthony. Gavin, your thoughts?
Well, I disagree that was the most complete game Illinois has played. Luka Garza did score 28 on Kofi, although Kofi did get his share of blocks and points. But the biggest win for Illinois was at Wisconsin, where you snap a 15-game losing streak to the Badgers. You win in Madison for the first time since 2010. You beat the Big Ten champions, who went down the stretch and won 8 straight games to win the Big Ten title. You get a huge shot from Ayo Dosunmu, and you get the monkey off your back of beating a team that had really had your number.
No doubt. As much as I appreciated the win at Kohl Center for Illinois, I got to give this point to Anthony because I completely agreed. It was a complete game from the Illini, one of the best that they've looked all season, right before postseason play, too. Really inspires Illini fans for what they can see going forward into this postseason. And of course, you can't get signature wins without head coaches and consistent coaching. Illinois locks up Brad Underwood through the 2026 season with the option of going all the way to the 2030 season. His assistants got a nice extension out of that, too. Gavin, your thoughts on the extension, if it was too short, too long, or just right?
Well, Illinois Athletic Director Josh Whitman was not messing around. He got this just right, and here's why. Brad Underwood was already going to be getting offers from other schools after turning Illinois around. Texas was supposedly in the mix for him already, even though nothing official came out about that. You had to lock him up, give him the pay raise he needs because recruiting is going so well. You need to keep this staff together that really is developing these guys. These Ayo Dosunmus, these Kofi Coburns, and getting the next guys like Adam Miller and Andre Curbelo to come and sign on.
No doubt. Anthony, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think for me, as you can tell by the orange blazer, big fan of Brad. I think it's the right move. I think it's a just right length as well. I think it helps in recruiting because these recruits like Adam Miller and Andre Curbelo, they know Brad's going to be there for their full 4 years or however many years they decide to stay if they go to the NBA or whatever comes of that. And I also think Brad came here with a goal of building a culture. He's definitely there right now, and now through 2026, he can continue to build on that.
I would completely agree, and I do love the orange blazer, but this point's going to Gavin. I like the point that you made. I actually didn't know that other teams are sniffing around Brad Underwood before that extension was signed, really making sure that you lock Underwood up for the long term. You talked about Ayo Dosunmu and Kofi Coburn's development. Well, the development paid dividends and was honored this week in the Big Ten honors. Ayo Dosunmu, first team All Big Ten. Kofi Coburn, Big Ten Freshman of the Year. Between those two players, Anthony, Gavin, I'm going to start with you, Anthony. Who do you think made the bigger impact on Illinois?
I think for me, it's got to be Ayo Dosunmu. I think just from the fact that he decided to stay another year, I almost think that is the bigger acquisition over the offseason than even recruiting a guy like Kofi. I think having Ayo here in Champaign to just continue to build this program, he's been doing it all season long, whether it's points, rebounds, assists, diving on loose balls. But for me, the biggest thing is the clutch gene. So many games came down to the ball in his hands, and he converted or slipped just about every time.
Yep, that slip still gives me nightmares. Gavin, your thoughts, Kofi or Ayo?
I actually agree with Anthony here for slightly different reasons. Illinois would have lost a lot more games this season without Ayo Dosunmu's clutch gene, as you said. You think of his shot at Northwestern down the stretch against Iowa just this weekend, at Michigan, the game winner at Penn State. The list goes on. He developed an intensely good mid-range shot that allows him to score from 3 at the hoop from any level of the floor. And he's really, really led this team in every aspect, from scoring and just leadership to even defense.
There you go. And You know, you guys are both on Io, but I got to give a point. Anthony, I'm going to give this point to you. I like the way that you say that Io is the biggest acquisition Illinois made in the offseason, even though he's a sophomore, because a lot of people thought he might be gone towards the NBA draft. Might be after this year too, but as of right now, Illinois fans happy that they're keeping him around. Well, 4 questions in, and we are all tied up 2-2 with the very last question coming up, and it's the big one. Illinois goes in the Big Ten tournament this weekend, and fans are excited to see Illinois competing maybe for that title. What should fans expect from Illinois this postseason?
I think fans should expect Illinois to get to the championship. You know, you're probably going to be facing Iowa in that quarterfinal on Friday. It's a team you've already beat. You're going to have a pro-Illinois crowd. You know you can kind of keep Garza at bay and beat them with your guards. And then Wisconsin is a team you've already beat too. If you play them in the semifinals, you know Wisconsin's playing well, but Illinois has Kofi Coburn that they just can't really deal with, even though Micah Potter is a talented guy for them. But I think Illinois is going to fall a little bit short against Michigan State or Maryland in the final, 2 teams that just narrowly edged out the Illini.
Understood. Anthony?
Yeah,
Going to the finals?
I think they're going to go to the finals, and I'm actually going to say they win the finals. I think Illinois, if you just look at their top part of the bracket that they're in, they're 8-2 against all the teams. So obviously they match up against them. And then I think if they do end up facing Michigan State in the final, which is my prediction, I think Ayo Dosunmu's got a little bit of a revenge tour plan because I think he would have made that shot if he didn't slip, and he's going to have to prove that to a lot of people in Indianapolis.
Well, understood. Well, with the score tied 2-2, somebody's got to win, and this time I think I'm going to have to give it to Anthony. My biggest thing was you said that Illinois kept Garza at bay. He did still do pretty heavy damage against Illinois in the games that they played, and you know I'm kind of a homer, and I gotta get side with the guy.
Orange blazer.
Yeah, and the guy that says that Illinois is going to win it all. I mean, that sounds like a pretty good outcome for me.
I'll take it.
Exactly. So congratulations to our champion, Anthony. And that is going to do it for this edition of Illini Sports Night's Shot Clock. But Illinois basketball is not the only sport happening on campus right now. There's also some Illinois women's tennis happening with their Big Ten season getting underway. Illini Sports Night's Blake Landa sat down with Mia Rabinowitz to learn a little bit more about the team and herself. Take a look.
Why do people choose to play the sport that they play? Is it something that they have been doing for their entire life? Or is it something that they learned later on and discovered a passion for? What makes an athlete choose the school that they want to play for collegiately? These are all the questions that I wanted to answer about women's tennis player Mia Rabinowitz. Rabinowitz is a junior here at the University of Illinois, and she has been playing for the team since she arrived on campus in 2016.
So I actually started off as a gymnast, and then when I was younger, I would go to my grandparents' house in Florida and just get a few lessons here and there, and then that kind of sparked my love for it. And then started kind of late for a tennis player, but when I was about 12, I started taking it really seriously, and it's history ever since. My decision to come here was kind of based off of Coach Evan Clark. That was what sold me on the school. He's one of the best people and coaches I've ever met, so that's honestly what sold me on coming here.
Everyone knows about recruiting when it comes to bigger collegiate sports like football and basketball, but all schools use the same idea of getting the most qualified coaches and to have winning programs in order to tempt potential players to come to their school in hopes of continuing that legacy. Rabinowitz has already had a great career here at the U of I, but she does not plan to have this be the last leg of her tennis journey.
After school, I would like to give it a shot on the Pro Tour. Tennis is a huge passion of mine, and I think I have a lot of people that support me in that dream, and yeah, I'm going to give it a try.
After watching Rabinowitz win her singles match against Purdue, I decided to give it my best college try against her on the court. My dad was a state caliber tennis player in high school, so I assumed that tennis would run through my blood.
I don't have many hopes for this. I'm Blake Landa for Illini Sports Night. This is a lot harder than it looks. Take it easy. Thanks, Mia.
It's not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
Man, Mia Rabinowitz, I would never want to play her on a tennis court. It just goes to show you how good Division I athletes are. I've only played tennis about 3 times in my life, and I have a feeling that right when I got on the court, she put the ball past me before I even swing.
Yeah, personally, I've never even picked up a racket, so I wouldn't have stood much of a chance at all. So,
yeah. Illinois men's gymnastics, on the other hand, sent their seniors off with a bang. The number 6 ranked Illini defeated the number 2 Michigan and number 8 Penn State in the tri-conference meet this weekend. Senior Danny Graham led the way for the Illini, scoring 14.95 on the rings, earning him the event title. With the win, the Illini continued their perfect 5-0 record at Huff Hall. And what's even better, Illini Sports Tonight's Jake Hassan was able to sit down with head coach Justin Spring. Check it out.
12-time All-American. 13. All right.
It's all over the internet. I don't know how we missed one.
Yeah.
It's so funny. My assistant coach asked me, like, how do you not know? How did that happen?
That one missed.
How did you get? Because I was never one that followed the stats. I was just doing my job the best I could.
But obviously, one of the most decorated Illinois men's gymnasts ever. Incredible competing career. And then you went on to compete in the Olympics, the bronze medal team in the U.S.
Yeah.
And then also the Pan Am Games, where you medaled as well. I mean, tell us about that, those experiences, especially in the Olympics. What was that like?
When you go to a place for, 2 weeks before the meet, you get adjusted. There's this massive venue. There's the gravity of the Olympic Games, right? Since I was like 8 years old, like my son is right now, doing like forward rolls on the mat. Anyone asks you when they hear you're a gymnast, oh, are you gonna go to the Olympics? And you're 8 and you're just like, yeah, you just say yes. You're like, whatever. And then somewhere along the line, you're making junior national teams and national teams. And here at Illinois, I made my first senior national team, and it was kind of the eye-opening experience of like, I could
do this.
The Olympics is the next step, right? So I made the national team for the first ever time in 2005, which is the top 15 guys at that time. And then I made the world team, which was like the top 6 guys out of the national team. It's like, whoa, if this was an Olympic year, I would have made the Olympics.
Right. When you're out there competing, is it just like a blank mind? Are you thinking anything, or are you just going out there and doing it?
It's kind of like when you look at pictures when you're like 3 and 4. Yeah. Like, I remember that. Like, no, you don't. You remember from looking at the pictures. Right. Like, I remember it from watching, I play a video and I do speaking engagements, and I've watched my high bar routine multiple times, and I watch myself and I'm doing all that stuff, and I was like, I don't remember any of it first person, because it's mind. I don't want to say numbing, because it's quite the opposite. Like it's overload.
So where's the medal? You keep it up on the mantle or hung up on the wall for your son to play with?
Yeah.
Or what?
So for a long time I had it. To me, it's like it's in the record books. Like it's whatever. I had it in a box in a storage cubby in the basement, and I still remember my wife calling me one time. I'm at a meet. She's like, "Where's your medal?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It's in the basement in a storage box." She's like, "Can you not do that? Like, our friends come over and they want to see it."
You took that same mentality from the Olympics and applied it to your coaching style?
I mean, I wish I could take all the credit, right? We won my first 3 years. We won 3 consecutive Big Ten championships. That year before, we also won the Big Ten championship. So coming into the program, yes, I was an assistant coach, but Yoshi had developed a really great team at that point and recruited some great guys. And then I kind of continued to add on that, and surely banking on the Olympic image, I think, helped. The funny thing is, I feel like I'm 3 times a better coach now, and we just can't seem to win one, And back then, I was still trying to figure it out. I was trying to develop a coaching philosophy and really figure out what it takes to be great and how to manage from outside. I mean, there's such a significant difference from being a team captain, even, which is a leadership role, but you're still on the team. You're still one of the guys, to head coach.
That transition that you're kind of talking about from being one of the guys to being the coach, was that a weird transition for?
Oh, yeah.
Were there still guys on the team that you had competed with and now you're coaching?
There's 2 classes that I was on the team with. Well, there was one guy from one class and then a full class that I was on the team with, my freshmen. So it was a challenge. Much easier now, being a lot farther removed, but also I think having an idea of how to do that and create investment and buy-in, so that it wasn't me against you. It's like, we're in this thing together, right? And we're trying to win. And winning takes these things. And if you're not giving me those things, I'm going to call you on it.
You had guys like Alex Diab, and now you're hearing, like you said, this team is so close. What is the future?
That's what drives me crazy. So if you look at our finish in the Big Ten the last 7 years, it goes second, first, second. That's way too many second places. Like, as a competitive person, that just saying that makes my heart race and my blood boil. Like, it's so infuriating to be that close. I believe that good teams are coach-led, great teams are athlete-led. If you want a great team, your players at one point, we talked about that ownership with that earlier team, like we did this together. This is not me versus you. This isn't my dream. Yes, I want to win a Big Ten championship. Yes, I want to win a national championship. But guess what? I'm going to be here for maybe another 4, 5, how many years? You got 4 years, and you only got one with this team.
Right.
That's it. This team with this class, freshman, sophomore, that's it. This is your one chance only, and only one of 4 in your entire career. You are running out of time. You have to want this more than I do. Because at the end of the day, winning a championship isn't the 4 hours we're in the gym that day. It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week commitment. As a coach, that's kind of a philosophy. Like, man, you know, like I own it. Like I should have made my team, last year's team, more prepared. We lost by 0.25. Do you know what 0.25 is?
It's really small.
It is a step on the landing that big.
Yeah.
That's it. You did a crazy hard routine, flips and whatever over this crazy bar or on floor or whatever, and then you landed your dismount and you took a step that big. Boom. Big Ten championship, take a step, lost, done. We got second. Yeah. That's it. Anyone could have been responsible for that, right? Like, what does 0.25 look like? What does 1 point in a basketball game look like over the scheme of the whole game? Maybe it was one slice of pizza instead of a salad. Like that you were a little bit slower. That maybe you would have had that basket, right? Like it's that small. It's that small, and so that's why it has to be player led, and the players have to own the commitment to their success. It's like I'm the guy that took that step. I'm the reason. Or if you fell, I'm the reason. You know what I mean? And like they own that, and they live that, and they watch their seniors graduate without a ring, and it hurts. It hurts, you know, and it's so emotion packed. There's so much emotion. There's so much intensity into training for a Big Ten championship, to training for a national championship, and all the while, I'm studying to be econ, major. I'm studying aerospace engineer, pre-med, and like that alone, people do that only, and struggle tremendously with that. You do that as a side job where you're training to be a national champion, or vice versa, right? Like student first, but it depends on where you're at. It feels like it's your primary job. They're both equally valuable, but they both weigh on your physical and spiritual and mental well-being 24/7. And that's why it's an all-in commitment. It's brutal. It's really tough.
What a cool interview there with you and head coach Justin Spring. One of the things that stood out to me was just how humble he came across. How'd that feel for you?
Yeah, I tried asking him about the Olympics, and he was super, it was about the team, and these guys stepped up, and we had these alternates. So that was really cool to see from him, even 12 years later, and he still speaks very fondly of those guys.
Right. Not many times you probably see an Olympian who keeps his medal downstairs in the basement tucked away.
That was wild to me. When he said it's just in a box downstairs, I was like, how do you do that?
Right. If I ever got an Olympic medal, none the least, I'm putting it on top of the fireplace, like up on the mantle.
Or I'd have a spotlight on it. But yeah, it was crazy. So he was a really cool guy, very humble, obviously. Awesome to talk to.
Mm-hmm. And he seems like a real competitor too. I know he made mention of how many times they've come in second with the Big Ten championships. And how do you feel like the program is maybe progressing, and what do you see for the future?
Well, it's definitely progressing. But yeah, when he talked about those second place finishes and those third and fourth place finishes, I could tell he was like agitated, like he got angry about it. So definitely a fierce competitor, and I think with him, Illini Men's Gym is definitely on the right track.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. Now we're going to head on over for final thoughts.
While the Big Ten tournament and March Madness are an exciting time for basketball fans, it could potentially put some fans in attendance at risk for the current coronavirus. NCAA President Mark Emmert put out a statement Wednesday stating, "I have made the decision to conduct our upcoming championship events, including Division I men's and women's basketball tournaments, with only essential staff and limited family attendance." And soon after that, the Big Ten released a similar statement, only friends, media members, and players on that team and staff.
Yeah, it's a weird time right now in the sporting world with everything that's going on. Best you can do is just hope for player safety at this point and try and contain it as much as possible.
For obviously the student athletes, it's all about being safe, and that's what they want to ensure. And I believe they're doing that perfectly right now, and hopefully it doesn't get any worse. But we'll see. That's all we have for our edition of Illini Sports Night, but be sure to give us a like on Facebook and YouTube and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks for watching.
Patrick sucks. I thought it was good, yeah. We're just riffing. Just guys being dudes.